Good morning. Hi everyone, my name's Jack. I'm a digital designer and today we are going to be creating a website. For my main job, my full-time job, I am an actual web designer for a company. And I think that's why I haven't made any web design content yet on this channel, is because I just do it for 40 plus hours a week anyway. So I make kind of different kinds of websites than what I'm interested in. And so today what we are going to be doing is designing a website for Cayenne's hot sauce, which is if you haven't seen my video of me designing a brand for them, this is the part 2 to it, where I'm actually going to be designing a website for them. And this website design is actually going to be split up into 2 videos. I'm going to be doing one where I do the template mock-up design of it in Adobe XD, and then the second one is going to be me actually making the website.
Hi everyone, Editing Jack here. I just wanted to pause to let you know that this is actually going to be done a little bit differently in terms of parts. As I'm editing this, I'm realizing that this video is well over an hour long just for the mock-up, because there are so many basic skills that I did want to communicate with Adobe XD. I wanted to treat this a little bit more as a tutorial to really show my process. So this is just going to be part 1 of the mock-up. I will show you how I create my component library, which is a technique that I learned from my current employer, and I think that it's a really beneficial way to set yourself up for designing a website. So we are going to be doing part 1 now of me showing you how to design your component library for your website mockup, and then the next video will be actually designing the mockup. So I'm sorry about what I'm about to say and what I said, and if it gets a little bit confusing, but I feel like doing this in parts is going to be a little bit easier to digest, and no one wants to watch over an hour video of me just mocking up a website. So sorry about that, and let's get back into it.
It might be on Squarespace, it might be on Webflow, it might be on ReadyMag. I usually use WordPress, but I like to use WordPress for more complicated websites for my clients. Ones where it's a little bit larger and requires a little bit more customization and maybe more technical pieces to it. I used to think that Squarespace and all of those site builders that are essentially drag and drop systems were a little easy, and whoever did those weren't actual web designers because it didn't require code. So I was a little snooty about it, but if there's an easier way to get something done and it looks just as good, I say why not use it? You don't have to know code to make a beautiful website anymore, and that's really awesome. But because I do know HTML and CSS and Sass and a touch of JavaScript, I think that that allows me to sometimes make a little bit cooler things or a little bit more custom things. I haven't actually really dove into the Squarespace side that allows you to use coding, but if I decide to use Squarespace, we'll probably be doing some of that, but that's for the next video. So I just really want to focus on just creating the mock-up for the website. So just a quick disclaimer, I like to design things on the mock-up for my skill set, and usually that allows me to do quite a bit of things because I'm normally operating in WordPress or a different content management system that allows me to really utilize my skill set to be able to design. I haven't really dove into site builders like Squarespace or ReadyMag that might allow me to use the coding part. So essentially, if the website that I actually create doesn't look exactly like the mock-up, it's going to be because I've been kind of cornered into whatever template I've chosen from one of those site builders. However, for this mock-up, I really want to just create whatever I want to create and hopefully find a template that makes sense to fit it. I wouldn't recommend that for client work. Whatever you show them on the mock-up, you should be able to deliver to them. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing any sort of web design, mocking up, anything like that, because it would be understandable why a client would be pissed off that their end result website that actually functions and their clients or customers are going to be using doesn't look at all like what you represented to them before you even began building it. So keep that in mind as a little disclosure. And one last thing before I get into diving into XD and showing you kind of my process a little bit with that, I want to thank today's sponsor of the video, which is Envato Elements. You guys have heard me talk about them before. They are a market for all things creative. I typically use them for fonts and product mockups, but they have so much more than that. And one thing that they have are website templates. And I personally am not going to use them in today's video, and that's only because I already have something in mind where I don't need to pull off of one of those templates that they have built. But I'm mentioning them because I think that they would be a really incredible resource for anyone who's not only just getting into web design, but maybe wants to have a little bit more structure and a little bit of a starting point to jump off of. I think that that's really important, and they have a bunch of different kinds of website templates. So the next time you are building a website and you want something with a little bit more structure so that you have a starting point to like jump from, I would definitely check out Envato because they have some really beautiful templates. So now that we've got that out of the way, I actually want to get going on the actual template design. So I'm very excited for this. I've been wanting to make this for so long, but I wanted to kind of brush up on some XD a little bit more. The beauty about XD is that you actually don't need to know a lot about it to be able to see something visual, but also it has so many good little tools in there that can really bring your mockup to life depending on how deep you want to go into it. For example, they have like focus and hover states, and you can make transitions and things like that just on your mockups. But you can also, if you just want a flat image like you would create maybe in Illustrator or Photoshop, you can also do that in XD. Another thing that I like is that you can prototype your pages together. We're making pizza. So for example, if you were to go into presentation mode on the home page and you were to click on the Contact Us tab at the top, it would take you to the contact page. So there's ways of prototyping so that you can see and visualize and participate in the functionality of the website. Your client would also be able to access a live link where they can go through the exact same process as you and see what the user experience is like of their website. It's a really great way to showcase your website without doing a ton of work, essentially without doing any code or any deep things. It's a way for your client to see what their website is going to be like and actually see the functionality of it as well. So I would definitely recommend this as being another way to operate your web design, building, and experience with your clients. So without further ado, let's actually pop into XD so you can see exactly what I was just talking about. Pizza. Okay, so I have my template pulled up here. This is actually something that I got from my job that I work at. So instead of completely restarting from scratch and designing this component style guide is what we call it, I just copied this from a different template and I put it in here, but I will explain to you what is going on here. So here we have basically a component style guide is really the best way to describe it, but it's just a little sector of elements that I'm going to be using throughout the site design. So what I like to do before I even begin designing the site is make sure I know what kind of elements I'm going to need for it. So here we are going to change these to be different brand colors, text colors, header styles, body copy, there's going to be any links throughout the website. And then I also like to make my header and footer styles, as well as form components, buttons, and any footer components that will be in there. So these are really awesome because before you even begin, you have pieces to pull in, and it's really amazing. They can always change if it's not working in your mock-up, but the best part is you can just change it in one spot. So for example, if I don't want all my H3s to look like this, I can change it all. I can just change it here in this one spot, and it'll reflect over all of the pages. So if I wanted to include a different header, let's say I have 4 pages of mock-ups and 4 mobile versions of it. If I want to change the logo, I'm going to have to do that on 8 separate pages. But for this, I'm going to just be doing it in one spot. So I'm just going to quickly make a component so you guys know how to do it, because I think that it really makes it efficient to do it this way. Work smarter, not harder. So here I'm going to do H6, or I don't have an H1 element, so we'll do H1, Kai, and hot sauce. That's not how you spell hot sauce, whatever. And I want to make it, let's make it this bright red color. We're gonna make it big, and we're gonna make it bold. Okay, so this is, let's say this is what I want all of my H1s to look like throughout the entire site. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to select this H1, and then I'm going to add it to a character style, and I'm just going to call it H1 45 point because I want to know how big it is. Personally, you can call it whatever you want, but that's what I'm going to call it. So now over here, if I'm typing and I'm like, let's make this regular and black, like let's just say it is what it is, and the color is, oh my god, black. What is happening to me? Okay, so you can go into here, hey, what's up world? Okay, so that's what it is. And then just so I can, for the purposes of this demonstration, I will show you, we'll make it black, we'll make it regular, and we will make it whatever this, oh, that's actually kind of a pretty font. Okay, anyway, so we have this, right? And let's make it huge. And we're like, you know what? I want it to take on H1 styles. So you're gonna select that and you're just gonna click H1 and it makes it that, right? Okay, so let's say we want, instead of red, we wanna make it purple. So what we're going to do is hit edit here, and we're just going to make it purple. So as you can see, it updates across the entire page. I can have them on multiple pages, as many pages as I want, and they all will update. And there's nowhere that you need to hit save, nothing like that. I think that's really amazing. It gets a little bit more complicated with buttons and things like that, but as I go through with editing them, I'll show you a little bit more. But that's just a great way to have a little hub for the elements that will be throughout your website, so that you can update it immediately and spread across all of your mockups and not have to essentially work harder. So here's my messy ass Illustrator artboard, okay? This is what I have for Cayenne's branding. I feel like I've learned a lot in the last couple weeks because I would never have it look like this. All right, so I'm in Illustrator and I'm going to copy this color palette that I have, and I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to go into XD, and then I'm going to paste it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fill it with these colors just by using the eyedropper tool. I'm just going to have a normal white and a little bit of an off gray, and then I'm going to pick my dark color that essentially acts as what my black is going to be. So I'm going to pull from this red color and just deepen it until it's like basically an off black. I don't know, do I like that? Yeah. Okay, amazing. And then I'm going to also make the text colors the same. And then what would I want my links to be? I guess I kind of want them to be this red color, because against that'll work against white. That's going to be the best color. Okay, so my thought process on picking the link color, in case you're curious, is I want it to be enough where it stands out against the body copy so that people are able to recognize that it's a link, but I also don't want it to be crazy bright. So for example, this yellow color would not work for a link color because it's very hard to differentiate the boundaries of that yellow against the white. The pink is a little too soft. It could work, but because it's so light, and the body copy is most likely going to be a black color, it's going to be confusing for the eyes going from such a dark color to a light color. With these orange and red colors, I just feel like the orange is just a touch too bright, kind of like the yellow, and the red is a little too like blood red for me. So, and I really do feel like this maroon color is more of a primary color for Cayenne's hot sauce anyway, and to me it just like makes the most sense for it. Okay, so I have my colors all picked out here, and I just added a few to the side just by selecting and adding plus to it. And the reason why I like to keep my colors over here on this side is, again, for efficiency. So if I were to have a header and it would be like, hey, what's up? And I want it to take the style of this H1 with everything else, but I don't want that color to be exactly that color because maybe it's on a different color background, maybe it doesn't quite work in that specific setting. I can just go over to here and double click it and it makes it that color. So it's very nice. There's no need to use an eyedropper tool because sometimes the eyedropper tool isn't completely exact. It just operates in going that way. So as you can see, this component style guide is going to be really useful throughout the rest of our website. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue setting it up really quickly. And if I get to a confusing part that I think is important, I will pop back in. So something super unfortunate and side note is I didn't pick a proper body copy for this. So normally you'd have a style guide. Hopefully you'd have a style guide to be able to work off of. I obviously didn't make one. Good job to me. Anyway, so now I'm seeing firsthand how crappy this is. But I'm just going through and I picked a font that I think was compatible with it. My reasoning behind it is that the meatball font that I'm using for the headlines has a pretty big character to it, and so the body I wanted to keep simple but not boring essentially, and so I felt like this Europa was a good meat for that. And also I hate pairing fonts together, so I know I should love it. I'm so sorry, please don't attack me, but I hate it, so I kind of just do it as quickly as possible. You know what? Earlier, what I said about the link text being the maroon, I actually do think I'm going to make it the red. Now looking at it, I just feel like the maroon is a touch too close to the black that it doesn't pop enough. So, I'm going to... I think I'm going to make it the cherry bomb color. Yeah, I am. Cool. Okay. Okay, so I figured I would show you guys this part. It's kind of important. So as you can see up in this form area, I kind of already started to do it, but I'll just restart and do this on the button. So here, when I click on this button, over here you can see default state and hover state. So the hover state looks like that and the default state looks like that. So for the default state, I'm going to click into it and I'm going to edit it. So I'm going to make it this maroon color. Do I want to make it the maroon color? I'm going to make it this red color. And so I'm going to make sure that the border is the same color, and then I'm just going to leave the font white. So then if I want to edit the hover state, I'm going to click hover. And so I'm going to make the border this cherry bomb color, and then I'm going to make this text this red color, and then I actually don't want that. So I need to then go into the default state to get rid of that. So essentially, when I press play up here, when I take my mouse and hover over it, you can see the hover state. How you create this is essentially, if I were to do this, oh my god, this is gonna be the ugliest button ever. Hello. Let's see, this is my button. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to object, make component, and then immediately it pops over here, and you can name it to button or something. I'm just gonna end up deleting it, but over here you see default state. So you can click plus and add a new state. So I want a hover, for example, on this one. So I'm gonna click hover. So what I'm going to do with the hover is then make those same changes that I just did. So now when I go to default, it looks like that, and hover, it looks like that. So whatever you leave it on is the way it's going to portray it. So for example, if I click play, now you have a hover state. Guys, that is the end of this part 1 where I showed you how to create the component library or the component style guide. I'm sorry if it was a little boring for you and if you were hoping for a little bit more of a mock-up, but that is coming, and this is just such an important piece of my process, and it has helped me so much, so I thought maybe it could help you guys, and I didn't want to completely scrap all of this because I do feel like it's important. So hopefully you guys liked it, and if you have any tips or tricks for me on how to improve this process, or if you do something similar, please let me know. I'm always open, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and a happy new year. I'll see you in the next part.